Alright, hello. We're now going to continue with the next part of our exercise, which is to create the room type analysis. And with room type analysis, we're simply going to take the hotel data and we're going to summarize our data and organize it according to some categories that we would like to look at. So here we want to do analysis by room type. So you'll see that room type is one of our labels. It's over here on the left. For each room type, we want to find out how many room nights we sold and what was the net amount. That means the room charges minus the discount. And we also want to know what percent of the total room nights and what percent of the total net amount can be attributed to each room type. And then we also want to know how many arrivals we had by day of week in room type and how many departures by day of week in room type. So to produce these three reports, which we're going to put in one worksheet. So this is our data. We've completed all of our formulas over here. And earlier, I also asked you to add 5 more rows down here. Now, I leave it up to you. I didn't add 5 rows to mine, but you should add 5 rows to yours before you start this analysis. So now let us begin. So to create that report, the first report, so to create this first report, you click on any cell inside your data. So this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, but this is not fine. So do not click outside your table. Click inside your table, and then you click insert. And the first thing you'll see here is pivot table. So you click pivot table. Select your table or range. And since we have already formatted our list as a table, then it says table 2. And if you're not sure what table 2 is referring to, you can take a look at the ants. You see this line of ants here this line of crawling ants over here. Okay, so just check to make sure that it covers your entire table. And if it does, then you go to new worksheet. Okay. And so you're now in a new worksheet called sheet 2 or sheet 3. Depends how many sheets you have. And the important thing is it will show you a list of all the fields. Okay, so these are all the headings from our table. And you'll see here that there's also 4 boxes. So what are these boxes? These boxes are simply the areas of your report. So you can click the field up here and you can drag it to the area of the report where you want. Now, if you see here, we need to show the room types on each row. Okay, so the room types must appear in each row. So over here, you'll see room type, right? When I click room type automatically goes to the rows. And over here, you'll see it also appears in rows. Now, if you didn't want room type to be on the row, you want it in the column, no problem. You can click here and drag it here. Okay, and you'll see that it quickly changes the organization. So it's very, very flexible. So we want room type here, so that's the first one. Next, we want to show the number of room nights for each room type. So room nights must go here into the values because the values are the numbers that are being summarized. So room nights is over here, so I click room nights. Now when I click room nights, you'll see that it automatically goes into values and it applied a sum. So what it means is it added all the room nights for the deluxe queen room, all the room nights for the deluxe suite, and so on. So we quickly have our total room nights for each room type. Next, we want to know what percent of the total room nights went to standard twin room, deluxe twin room, and so on. So percent of the room nights. To do this, we need to add another column also for room nights. Okay, we need 2 of them. So I'm going to click. Since I already checked it here, I can't check it again. If I uncheck it, it's going to disappear. Okay, so I'm just going to click the name, press on the name, room nights, and then I'm going to drag it one more time here. So now there's 2 of them. Okay, and then for the second sum of room nights, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to show the value as a percent of the column total. Okay, so now it's showing up as a percent of the total, which is 684. So now we know that 96 is 14.04% of 684. That's what it means. Next, we want the net amount. So net amount would be the amount for this booking after the discount is applied. So that will be amount after discount. So I click that here, and then it automatically goes down here in the values, sum of amount after discount. And we also want to know the percentage of each room type. How much did they contribute to the net amount? So we want to click this one and drag it a second time. And for the second column, right click with the mouse, press the right button, and then show the value as a percent of the column total. Right. So this is our first report. Now we need to format the numbers so they look like this. Okay, look a bit nicer. And also we're gonna apply, you know, some colors and borders and things like that. So let's see how to do that. So first, let's look at the titles. The titles here are sum of room nights, sum of room nights 2, and of course it's not very attractive. So I will click this title up here, and up here you'll see there's analyze. Okay, I'm in analyze here, and in analyze there's an active field. Okay, because that's the field I clicked in. So I'm just gonna say room nights instead of sum of room nights. Okay, so I'm gonna click here. Okay, I think I deleted nights too, so I put it back here. Room nights. So you can change the column names. So this is room nights. And then for this, okay, again I'm in analyze and then active field. I'll just say percent room nights. Right. This just seems easier to read. And then for these values, maybe I'll just show 1 decimal place instead of 2. So I'll go to home, and here is all the formatting for numbers. And over here there's an arrow, decrease the decimal. So you click once, it will remove 1 decimal place. If you click one more time, it will remove both. Okay, we want to keep 1. So this will increase the decimal, this will decrease the decimal. Okay, so that's percent of room nights. Now for this one, the amount after discount, we're just going to say net amount. Okay, let's make it shorter. Now since this is a dollar value, it's nice to format it with this comma style. It's under home. I use comma style when I'm in a hurry. It's very useful. Okay, so it will quickly line up the numbers, put the 2 decimal places, and a comma for every thousands value. And the last column is percent net amount. Okay, you can control the width of each column like this, and then we're also going to decrease the decimal. Right, and now over here it says row labels because it's on the row of the pivot table report, but in the model answer we don't show anything here, and we have a title up here, room nights and net room charges by room type. So I'm just going to copy it to save myself some typing. I'm just going to click above and I'm going to enter it here. I'm going to paste it. Okay, this is going to be the title. So how do I remove the row labels here? So I'm going to go to design. Okay, so when you click on the pivot table, you'll see there's analyze and design. I go to design. This is the design of the pivot table. I'll go to the report layout, and I'm going to show it in tabular form. Okay, when you show it in tabular form, you'll see the row labels now shows room type here. And in fact, this is actually a filter. You can filter your pivot table report so that you can just look at, let's say I just want to look at the twin rooms. So I can just select the twin rooms. Okay, so pivot tables can also be interactive. So they're not fixed. You can actually filter data in this report. But we want to show all of them. Okay, and one more thing here is that we want to show the room type. We want to sort our report by room nights so that the higher room type with more room nights will appear above. Okay, so we want to sort room nights in descending order so we can quickly see which room type had the most room nights. So over here I'm in room nights, so I will right click, I will sort from largest to smallest. Okay, so that shows us that standard twin room is the most popular, followed by the deluxe twin room, followed by the executive twin room. Alright, so that's our data. You can fix the widths. And still here in design, you can change the appearance quickly by adapting, by formatting, by using any of these pivot table styles. So I will just go for this one here. And for the title, I will, okay, first for the title, we probably need a bigger font, maybe at least 18. And then we can make it bold. And if you want to center, your title, over here under Home, there's something called Merge and Center. So Merge and Center will merge all of those cells from A to E, and it will center the content in the space that's occupied by these 5 cells. So now you'll see it's nice and centered. And if you want, you can even put a background color. Okay, and I leave it to you to do your own formats. Right, so that's our first report. And if you do not want to let people filter the report, you don't want them to change it, you go to Analyze, and you'll see here there's something called Field Headers, and that's the arrow here. So you just click it once, and it will remove the button. But now we need to adjust our widths because our title got squeezed in there. All right, so there's. Okay, and now we're done with this one, so I can click cross here so I don't see the list. If you want to see the list again, you can click Field List here under Analyze, Field List, and it will appear again. If you don't want to see it, you click cross. So we have finished our first report, our first pivot table. And by the way, for the name of the sheet, you need to follow the name of our sheet, which is Room Type Analysis. When you submit this activity, your sheet name should be the same as what we use in the model answer. So to change the name of the sheet, you just double click the name down here, and then you just type Room Type Analysis. And maybe let's save our work. Okay, so that's our first pivot table report, and next we're going to work on arrivals by day of week and room type, which is here in hotel data. We're going to build another pivot table. So we click on any cell in our table that has data, insert pivot table. Okay, it's already automatically selected our data, but we can confirm. Okay, check that it found our data correctly. Now this time, where do we want to put our pivot table report? We now want to put it in an existing worksheet because we already created the room type analysis. So we want to put it in that same worksheet. So click existing worksheet and then click location. And then for the location, you click room type analysis. As you click, it fills in the name for you. And then probably click like a few rows few rows below your first pivot table here, and then you click OK. So now we're ready to build our second pivot table. And our second pivot table, just to remind everyone, it looks like this. So what we need to do is put the room type on each row. And this time we have a label for each column. The labels are the day of week. And then here are the number of bookings. So that means these are the number of guests we expect to arrive on this day of the week for this room type. So now we know the structure of our pivot table. We need to select the fields and put them in the right sections of the report. So we click room type. Okay, and when you click room type, it automatically goes into the row label, which is where we want it to go. And then we need the arrival day. So I click arrival day. When I click arrival day, Excel puts it here under the rows. So now we have the room type, and under each room type, the arrival day. But we want arrival day to be on the column, so I can just click here, arrival day, and drag it to the columns. So now it's on the columns. And you'll see that it also changes the width of the column, so it affected our pivot table up here, but no matter. Okay, so now now I want to count the number of bookings. So booking ID is the number of bookings. So I will click here. And you will see that it automatically adds my booking ID because my booking ID is a number. But in this case, we don't want to add the booking ID. We want to count the booking ID because each booking ID represents one party that's going to check in. So I will right-click on any of the values and summarize the value. Okay, so automatically it will add the numbers, but now we just want to count them. So I'll just switch to count. And now you will see that we have a total of 91 bookings. And you will now see how many are arriving on a Sunday, on Monday, on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. So that means nobody arrived in the middle of the week. Okay, so that is our second report, and just like what we did with the first example here, now we're going to format it to the sign. All right, and then for the report layout, I always show tabular. Now it shows you room type, and for the sign, I want them all to be the same like this. And we're going to remove these filters, okay, because you can still filter on the row labels and column labels, but we don't want to give people that option. So I'm going to go to Analyze up here, and then I'll switch off the field headers. And count of booking ID doesn't sound so good, so I'll click on this. And over here in Analyze, you'll see the active field. I'll just say number of bookings here. That sounds better. Number of bookings. There. And we'll add our title. Our title is Arrivals by Day of Week and Room Type. I will merge and center and increase the font size. Now the column width keeps changing, so I'll just need to adjust that up here. Okay, so I will leave you to do the third pivot chart. That will be departures by day of week and room type. It's very similar to this pivot table report. The only difference is you're going to use the departure day as your column label. So I'll leave you to that. Another thing that's nice to do is you sometimes want to make your column labels bold, just so they stand out. I'll make this bold. okay. You can even make your row labels bold